Welcome to Spen Tube, the show about bringing you the past and future of Hollywood while it's burning down in a blazing inferno. Things are getting a little short-staffed here. Spen Tube's great and all, but it's just a tube.
I see how it is.
Can I be on the show?
It didn't even work the first time.
Shucks.
Well, I can't really afford anyone human, and I don't want to use AI. So, I invented this here machine to bring some cartoon characters to life. I'm calling it the Cartoon Bringer to Liferinator, or warming up. Well, I want to use this time to talk about some cartoon movies every time it warms up. So this time while it's warming up, let's go over some upcoming cartoon movies.
Randomly on their Instagram, 20th Century Studios announced that Homer is coming back for seconds. We're getting a new Simpsons movie. And then they delayed it a few months, mostly because the Minecraft movie's coming out the same day, and that won't do. The fact it has taken 20 years to get a new movie is crazy. There is more time between the last movie and today than there is between the premiere of the show and the first movie. That is insane. This movie seriously has the best chance than ever before at bringing back The Simpsons into popularity like they were in the 90s. And I hope they do. A third Phineas and Ferb movie is in the works. We even got a plot synopsis. This movie is about Doofenshmirtz accidentally erasing the day that Phineas and Ferb's parents met, meaning they would never become stepbrothers. So Phineas and Ferb have to go back in time to have their parents meet. This movie sounds awesome, and I think it's exactly what the series needs right now. The last movie was okay, but it didn't really feel like it warranted its own movie. The premise was already used in an episode before, but this, alongside the first movie, really do feel like feature-length plots, so I'm really excited for this movie. Out of nowhere, they announced a Speedy Gonzales movie's in the works. Jorg R. Gutierrez is set to direct the movie, and it's going to be at Warner Bros. Pictures Animation. And that's about all we know. This is strange. It feels very backwards for Warner Bros. To announce this, when a few years ago they canceled 3 different Looney Tunes projects. Because of that, I don't trust Warner Bros. That they'll even be able to get this movie out on their own and not just write it off for taxes again. But if the movie does come out, then it could be good. The director of this movie previously directed The Book of Life, and I've heard that movie is pretty good, so this could be intriguing. I'm running a little off script here, but I would like to talk about 2 upcoming Cartoon Network movies. One of them is an Adventure Time movie. It was a pretty obvious choice to get an Adventure Time movie. It's like in the name. That would work really well. We don't know much about it, but the show's creators are involved. It's in the project, so it's in good hands. But the next update is about the Gumball movie. And this was announced way back in 2020, and we got a vague plot description involving the real world, and it was supposed to tie into the upcoming revival, but now the revival is out, and well, you know the rest. It supposedly is still coming, but it is, quote, in limbo, so we're probably not going to see this for a long time. I love Gumball, and I would really love to see a Gumball movie. Breaking news! At long last, we finally got our first trailer for Coyote vs. Acme. This trailer was excellent. The animation on all the Looney Tunes looked pretty good, though I can tell that's just CG animation underneath the cell shading, like what Chip and Dale did, but I think this does it way better than that movie did, at least from what we've seen in this trailer. This trailer is lightning fast-paced. There's a joke every second, and a lot of these gags are great too. Man, August can't come quick enough. This movie looks so good.
Well, that's all the news. Ooh, I think it's ready.
Of course, the one cartoon movie you may think of when the topic comes to mind. The SpongeBob SquarePants movie. What this movie really does well, and this is a factor that plays into the rest of these movies, is that this perfectly adapts the feeling of the cartoon into an event. This story could not be done justice in just an episode of the show, nor a double-length special. This is classic SpongeBob at its best. Clever gags, lovable characters. It's just impossible to dislike this movie. This is how you do it. There's really nothing holding this movie back from 5 pretzel baconators in my mind. Well, that didn't work.
Hi, it's me, Bill Murray,
Holy moly, it's Bill Murray!
and I'm here to tell you don't need a machine to bring cartoon characters to life. You need one to bring them to you, because I know it's real.
So thanks, I'll keep that in mind. How do you know? Space Jam is kind of a 90s classic. It's by no means a masterpiece, but it is really fun. It's really an impressive feat to throw Michael Jordan into the Looney Tunes world without it feeling fake. Obviously, Roger Rabbit came before it, but that was bringing cartoons into the real world, rather than the other way around. And I will say it is much more impressive than the sequel just throwing LeBron James into a 2D style and calling it a day. I'm sure I'll talk about that movie one day or another, but not today. Another thing I really like about this movie is that it does feel like a big moment for the Looney Tunes. Correct me if I'm wrong, but we haven't really had anything where all of them get to interact with each other before. These are all true iterations of their characters, and yeah, not a lot to say about it. You've probably already seen this. I'm giving this movie 3.5 pretzel baconators. Yeah, that movie's a classic. Problem is, took Bill Murray's advice and she's still not working right. How hard is it to get employees that wanna work? Regular show, the movie, is epic. It follows the entire part going back in time to Mordecai and Rigby's high school days to stop them from building a time machine, which would lead to a series of events leading up to the destruction of the universe. What I love about this movie is that it really puts Mordecai and Rigby's friendship through the ringer. We get to explore an entire side of their dynamic that hasn't really been explored in the show up until this point. Is the villain's motivation kind of weak? Yeah, but it's entirely within the reality of the show, so that doesn't really bother me. And yeah, this very well could have worked as just a TV special. It's only like an hour long. But it doesn't feel like they padded the movie in a way that makes it feel bloated. Otherwise, the movie's great. You don't have to watch the show to watch this, but I do recommend you do that to understand these characters. Or pretzel baconators. These movies have actually been pretty good so far. Let's look at some more Nickelodeon movies. What's popular on there?
There's SpongeBob in the Loud House.
There's gotta be more, right?
No.
The Loud House movie is weird. Really weird. The movie follows Lincoln Loud and his family's vacation to Scotland when they find out that they're ancestors of the former Duke of Scotland. Uh-oh, this lady doesn't like them, I guess. And they don't really explain why. If you like The Loud House, I think this movie is perfectly fine. It certainly isn't a story that could just be told in an episode or a special, and it has its moments. Some jokes are cute, and the third act of this movie is not bad. But you can only really enjoy this movie if you enjoy the characters, which I know a lot of people do. As a Loud House movie, this works. It's a shame that I kinda hate The Loud House. This movie for me personally was really irritating. A lot of these jokes, if you could even call them that, didn't land for me. The jokes to me were just screaming and saying kind of witty things.
Why are you calling everyone Scott? We're in Scotland, duh.
Lincoln Loud, I find, as a protagonist, is really insufferable. He manipulates his family into moving to Scotland just so he can be the Duke because he's insecure about being in the shadow of his sisters. Really hard to root for Lincoln when he's kind of a narcissist the whole time. And did I mention this is a musical? The songs are really, really, really bad. They all sound like Stomp Clap Hey from the mid-2010s, if you remember that. Villain is okay. She's really generic, but she's not a drag to the movie. The animation, while ambitious, feels really half-hearted, and it looks kind of cheap. I don't know. This movie is really boring. To reiterate, if you like The Loud House, you'll probably like this, but I don't, so I don't like the movie. I'm gonna give this movie 1.5 pretzel baconators. Yeah, didn't really like that. We gotta dig deeper into Nick stuff. It gotta be something else.
SpongeBob.
But we already did SpongeBob.
Try it again.
You're right. Let's try again. The SpongeBob movie Sponge Out of Water is kind of underrated. As a kid, I was really let down that the superhero stuff was only at the final part of the movie. That felt like a ripoff, but otherwise, all this stuff here is great. The 2D animation is the best SpongeBob has ever looked. It's so detailed and vibrant, and I kind of wish the newer SpongeBob movies used this style. Yeah, this movie's really good. I liked Antonio Banderas as the villain in this. It was really fun. If you haven't watched this, I think you should. I'm gonna give this 4 pretzel baconators. I'm really tired of this thing not working.
Was that the problem?
From what I've heard of this movie, the Tom and Jerry movie is not what it makes itself out to be. This is not Tom and Jerry the movie. This is a low-budget animated Disney wannabe with Tom and Jerry as major characters. I hesitate to even call them main characters when the story at hand doesn't even revolve around them. It revolves around this orphan that they only meet like 30 minutes into the movie, and her only personality trait is, "My life sucks and I have no parents." The movie starts with Tom and Jerry's house being demolished after their owners left them behind. Does the destruction of the house connect to the main villains, whose only motivation is money in any way? No. It just serves as a plot point to get Tom and Jerry out of the house into the big city. Seeing Tom and Jerry homeless and trying to find their way around this city is kind of compelling. I thought to myself, okay, they're really digging into their rivalry and they need to learn to work together. As it turns out, I did not need to think that myself, as the movie for the next 10 minutes starts cramming that message down my throat. There's an entire musical number that was like 5 minutes long, just saying, "Friends can do anything," over and over and over and over and over again. Did I mention Tom and Jerry talk in this one?
How come you never spoke before?
Well, there was nothing I wanted to say that I thought you'd understand.
Yeah, they do. Which I know sounds like a total betrayal of Tom and Jerry as characters, but I'll be the first to admit that they could have made it not suck. Good cartoon movies break the rules, but this just does not do this for two reasons. Them talking does not add anything to the story. If they smartly used visual storytelling, like the cartoons do, nothing would change. And two, these voices are really annoying.
Well, sure I talk. What do you think I am, a dummy?
Another thing about this movie is that the animation just looks so cheap and lifeless. I can't really describe why I feel like that, but looking at the movie and the cartoon side by side, it's not at all hard to see. The cities feel so empty and just like a ghost town. It feels like the characters we see are the only characters that exist in this world. For some reason, this is a musical, and again, that wouldn't be an issue if any of the songs weren't so boring and generic. The visuals accompanying them are completely uninspired. I'm not expecting Friend Like Me style visuals, but maybe if you don't have the budget to do cool and interesting musical numbers in a movie that does not need them, you shouldn't do them. This movie is a complete nightmare. The only thing holding this movie back from being worse is the fact that the villains are kinda ironically funny with how much the villains are obsessed with money.
We've got to have money.
Overall, yeah, this gets one pretzel bacon here. Let's try this thing again. Maybe it works now. It's Mickey Mouse!
Hiya!
Oh my god. Mickey, I'm such a huge fan. Do you have any movies you want me to watch?
Well, I don't have a movie.
Really? How is there no Mickey Mouse movie?
I don't know, but my friend Goofy does.
Alright, I'll give it a watch. A Goofy movie is a totally tubular, PogChamp, radical dope 6'7". No, I don't know what I just said. This movie's pretty great. We follow Max, the son of Goofy, ask the girl of his dreams out on a date, only for Goofy to get in the way of things when he takes his son on a fishing trip across the country. This movie is pretty relatable no matter who you are. Teens will side with Max for his frustrations and paranoia that will become like his weird dad, and parents will side with Goofy for the fear that his son will turn out to be awful. And I love how the movie doesn't really vilify either of them, instead opting for the characters to work out their differences in a believable way. I also love that while this is very much the same Goofy from the cartoons, it does a lot to humanize him. He has some slapstick Goofy hijinks, but he's going through a very realistic conflict, and they're paying no disrespect to that. The songs are all great, and yeah, I think this movie works really well. This movie's technically based on the Goof Troop. You don't even need to be a fan of that to get anything out of this. I say this gets 4.5 pretzel bacon. You know what? No. I'm gonna give this 5 pretzel baconagers. Alright, well, I know the thing works now. Try to do SpongeBob again. The SpongeBob movie Sponge on the Run is not good. I feel sad saying that because the first 30 or so minutes of this movie are genuinely pretty good. The animation is excellent. I feel like this adapts SpongeBob into CGI perfectly. The overarching issue with this movie, however, is that immediately after SpongeBob and Patrick set off on their grand adventure, it's just not SpongeBob anymore. I everyone acts horribly out of character for the sake of the plot. For example, literally the next scene after they take off, SpongeBob is seen acting very narcissistic towards Patrick for no reason. Is there a gas leak in this boatmobile? I think there is. Actually, there might be one in the Krusty Krab too. Squidward, without hesitation, wants to save SpongeBob. Mr. Krabs gives up the formula with no fight, even though before SpongeBob joined, the Krusty Krab was fine, so I don't know. And Plankton also wants to save SpongeBob for some reason. Plot reasons, I guess. The plot in question is literally just the first movie. Just replace the crown with Gary and King Neptune with King Poseidon. And I will say it was pretty hype seeing the paddy wagon again, but that only drills that fact further. Matt Berry does a decent job voicing Poseidon, but the way he was written frustrates me. He rules with an iron fist, basically enslaving these snails, almost executing SpongeBob. And then SpongeBob pulls a Steven Universe and now he's not a bad guy anymore. Wonderful. Between the random celebrity cameos, needle drops, and betrayals of these characters, this is just not SpongeBob. You could replace the general plot of this movie with any other cartoon, it would probably still work with some tweaking. Honestly, it would probably work better. With all that said, I really don't think this is a new low for SpongeBob. Steven Hillenburg may have not wanted the Camp Coral shtick in this movie, but first of all, he was alive during the production of this movie and the show. And second, I don't think it's fair to criticize this movie based on what a dead guy may or may not have thought of it. There's been worse before, and there's been worse since. This is not a betrayal of what he made. It's just bad writing. Like I said before, it's not devoid of quality, so I think people should stop making this movie out to be more than what it is. So all things considered, this gets 2 pretzel bacon eaters. You smell smoke? It's not good. Maybe it's the summer heat. Probably something bacon. Phineas and Ferb Across the Second Dimension is almost exactly like the regular show movie, but even better. We follow Phineas and Ferb meeting Dr. Doofenshmirtz as they accidentally help him to create the other Dimensionator, leaving Phineas, Ferb, Doof, and Perry trapped in an alternate dimension where Doofenshmirtz is a supreme dictator. I think what this movie does to make it feel so special is the way it breaks all of the show's rules in an effective way. Phineas and Ferb finally find out that Perry's a secret agent, and that leads to some hilarious moments that the rest of the show cannot have. It's funny, but it's also pretty heartbreaking seeing Phineas so angry at Perry after all they've been through.
Anyone else around here leading a bizarre double life? Put your hand down, Ferb.
When they finally get back to the home dimension and fight the robot army, this is good stuff. When all the inventions up to that point come back, it's really impressive that they crafted this action-packed finale out of $500,000 budget. This movie rocks so hard, and it makes for a fantastic event for the show. So I'm gonna give this one 5 pretzel baconators.
All fixed.
Fortunately, we gotta wait for it to warm up again. Man, I just wish there was something to talk about in between. Got it. A fairly odd movie, Grow Up Timmy Turner. This was a weird one. I expected to hate it a lot more than I did, but it was fine, I guess. It's very typical TV movie. I don't want to say slop, but it was kind of slop. The movie follows an adult Timmy Turner played by Drake Bell as he falls in love with Tootie for the first time and is at risk of losing his fairies due to a random clause in the rulebook. The designs of the fairies are certainly interesting. It is very clear that this was a shoestring budget and they did what they could, but that, man, this kinda just looks like a PS2 game. I do like that they kept the cartoon zaniness from the show, though I don't think they went as far with it as they needed to. The villain, I can't decide if I like how cartoonishly stupid and childish this villain is, or if I wanted them to do something different, but he got a few good laughs out of me, I guess. I don't know, this movie is fine. It is not essential at all. It just feels totally skippable, but I did laugh a few times, so there's that. So I'm gonna give this 2.5 pretzel baconators. I'm feeling this thing is starting to be smart with me. How do I fix that?
Show it Teen Titans Go.
Oh yeah, that's genius. You probably wouldn't know it just by looking at it on the surface, but Teen Titans Go to the movies is actually pretty solid. Is it a thought-provoking masterpiece? No, but it's pretty self-aware and kind of clever. There's moments of sincerity, but this movie for the most part is one big joke. I really like the meta storytelling that this movie goes for, being about Robin's lifelong dream to have his own movie, and this is the only theatrically released movie starring Robin as the main character. That's kind of funny. This works pretty nicely as a movie, though I can tell that they needed to pad out the movie in some places to make it work. Overall, if you're a DC fan, you could get a good laugh out of this. Just don't expect anything mind-blowing. With that, I'm going to give this 3.5 pretzel baconators.
Spen Tube. We got a problem here.
Well, hours of work, 11 different movies, and what do I get? A Black Void and Graggle Simpson. And my shirt's ruined. How do I make up for this? Okay, fine. I'll talk about the Simpsons movie. The Simpsons movie is exactly what it needed to be. This is a great love letter to The Simpsons, and in general is just pretty funny. We follow Homer and his family flee Springfield after one of Homer's antics caused the EPA to conceal the town in a glass dome. The animation is the best the series has ever looked. Russ Cargill is a really entertaining villain. He's not amazing, but he does the job. And this movie gave Homer a really nice character arc that actually carries into the show. Like I said before, it's just really funny. There's so many memorable gags. It may not be classic Simpsons, but it's the closest it could have gotten. And I think this is a really strong movie for The Simpsons. So, I give it 4.5 pretzel baconators. Wow, I've given that score a lot today. Well, that's The Simpsons movie.
Look behind you.
Who said that?
Look behind you.
Graggle, is that you?
Hey, look behind you. Look. Look.
You're telling me there's a door this whole time?